Welcome to the Jamodi podcast, where we interview coaches and leaders to find out not just what they do, but how they do what they do. Becoming the best version of ourselves is Jamodi, just a matter of doing it.
Matt, this one is an absolute game changer. My team in Lead 'em Up actually believes, even though Green Team is our core, they believe followership is better and more important. It's never talked about, but we talk about it a tremendous amount. We never talk about one's performance level as a follower. If you think about it, right, we always use followers as a negative stigma. There's a stigma around don't be a follower, be a leader. All conversation is around leadership, developing leaders, stepping up as a leader, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. We never talk about followership. In fact, I've been in this space for 8 years. Prior to us creating it, I don't even know where the word came from per se. I never really heard it brought up. Okay. Are you super familiar? And is this a familiar word used?
Oh no. And I'm not at all.
So followership, defined in our vocabulary as one's performance level as a follower. We believe in order to build healthy cultures, in order for us to have leadership that works, it only works when we perform as a high level as followers. Because you can pour into captains, you can pour into leaders, but I have seen over my experience more often than not, the reason we lack great leadership in our teams isn't because we lack great leaders or individuals who want to be great leaders. We simply have difficult followers. They burn out our leaders, Matt. They don't respond well. Yeah. They push back. They get defensive. They think you are trying to power trip. And then now there's an emotional, you think you know it all, trying to tell me what. There is challenges. So for us, you could be the best leader in the world, but if you don't have a healthy group of followers, you're going to be working what we call uphill the entire time. It's an uphill battle the entire time. And also want you to think about it like this. There are a lot of players that are challenging for coaches to lead, let alone at 17, 18, 19, 20-year-old to lead. So we have to talk about your follower performance. And the reason it's so important is because of a concept called rotational leadership. Here's what it is. Rotational leadership is this ongoing, constantly changing relationship between leader and follower that changes day by day, hour by hour, minute by minute. I'll say it again. The ongoing, constantly changing relationship between leader and follower that changes day by day, hour by hour, minute by minute. Essentially means this. I don't care what your title is on the team. I don't care if you're a senior. I don't care if you're the best scorer. I don't care if you're the captain. There are moments where you will be leading, but there will also be moments when you're following. And that goes for everyone on the team, even the head coach, as you are, right? There are moments where you're, giving instruction, i.e. leading, but the moment you ask for feedback, now you're following.
That's right.
While they are leading, okay? You're in a room and you're like, hey, what does everyone think? You sit back, you're listening, bam, you're following. Even on this podcast right now, there are moments where I'm leading the discussion when it's my turn, but then I sit back and I listen to you, and now it's your turn to lead. It's rotational leadership. And that's really how it plays out on our team. Everyone plays a role, which means everybody is both a leader and a follower, meaning we have to perform at a high level in both in order to make it all work. And if you're not, there's going to be struggles. Okay. So we talk a lot about, we break it on the green team scale, that there are red performance levels, grays and green. We essentially say reds are what we call challenging to lead. They're challenging to lead, right? Grays are easy to lead. They kind of do what's told of them. They comply. They fall in line. They follow instructions. Most people think that's the best. That's good, right? Is there a higher level than that? That seems pretty good. You want people to be easy to lead, but there is a higher level than that. Top level is what we call enjoyable to lead. Enjoyable to lead. It's better than easy to lead, because what happens when you become enjoyable to lead, you fill the leader with joy when they get to lead you. Matt, we're talking next level stuff here. That for example, that as you lead me as my coach, Matt, I am such a joy to lead. I do all these things that we talk about and lead them up. There's 5 traits of what it takes to be an enjoyable follower, right? And things that you have to do from an action perspective. But the goal should be that everyone who leads you gets filled with joy for the opportunity to lead you. Think about that. That's next level stuff. And you know, Matt, you've walked away from teams, I guarantee it, that when you look back on certain players, you say this phrase, they were a joy to coach.
No doubt. Just thinking about them right there. Yeah.
Well, that is the goal that we need to live to, because what happens is when we become a joy to lead, we actually enhance the leader because the leader will do more leading. Okay. So we've got a couple exercises that build the theme. We've got an exercise called Thank the Passer, which feeds this concept. We've got an exercise called First Like, which feeds this concept. We've got an exercise called Detective, which feeds this concept. But it is so critical. And the reason my team likes followership so much, they think it hits everybody. Because there's still moments where some players still don't view themselves as a leader. They still aren't quite sure how to, present themselves as a leader. They're still struggling. Maybe they're younger. Maybe they've got personalities that don't really fall in line with what we traditionally view as leadership. Maybe they're introverted and such. But when you talk about the followership, man, this hits everybody.
I'm thinking of the 99% of my time that I focus on all of them being leaders. Maybe randomly the 1% I will focus on when he's leading you, but that's just, it's the minority. It's not what I do most of the time. So that's a great point. I got to ask you to dig a little deeper. You mentioned 3 activities that you do to help teach or followership.
Yeah, followership. Just like leadership, but followership. Yeah.
Can you go into just one of them, maybe the how behind it?
Yeah. Let's pick out First Like.
Okay.
Let's just take First Like, okay? First Like, have you ever seen on social media, Matt? It's really popular amongst young people. Young people know about this. Where like when a celebrity or post something that young people, they like race to be the first person to like it or comment. Have you ever seen that?
I did not know that, but it makes sense.
Your team, your players know about this, okay? It's more of a younger thing, right? But it's a thing, okay? You go on Justin Bieber's page. You go up, there will be all these people who think they're the first person to comment. It's almost like a game. It's like a race, okay? Wow. Like, oh, first comment, first like, and they write that in the comments. It is as silly as it sounds, okay? But there's a principle in it. There's a thought in it that if we can connect it to our team as it relates to followership, can actually help us improve this theme of followership. You see, when we have individuals that demonstrate positive acts of leadership on our team, or in the process of trying to push us in positive directions as a leader, it could be something as small as one player trying to get us hyped up, okay? Or a player trying to get us to slow down and lock in and focus because we're being a little careless, okay? Like whenever someone's trying to move you in a positive direction as a team, there is nothing more awkward from a leader's perspective, nothing more deflating than when they try and they step out in faith to do that, and it's met with crickets.
Right.
Or it's met with opposition, or there's no support with it. There's no other teammate like speaks up and they feel like they're the only one fighting for the team.
Yeah.
Okay. It discourages them. It deflates them, right? It gets them to the point where they're like, after a couple of attempts, they're like, screw it, I'm not going to do that anymore. Like, I'm the only one that cares. Like that type of thing. Okay. We teach this concept called First Like, that when we see a teammate trying to demonstrate or put together a positive act of leadership, trying to move our team forward, we as teammates need to race to be the first like, i.e. the first to support and endorse it, okay? So when you as my teammate are like, hey, let's go, lock in, let's go. Hey, man, we're flat today, let's bring the energy. I don't want to leave you hanging. metaphorically say that's like posting something on social and nobody liking it. It's awkward. You're like, am I living in my own world here? Like, where's the love? You know, like, I know we don't post it for the likes, but it feels better when you get some likes versus no likes, right? Like, so we say that. We're like, man, don't leave your guy hanging, right? Don't leave your girl hanging. Go over and be the first like, right? So they cheer, they try. You come in, hey, y'all heard what Matt said? Let's go. Let's go, right? Be the first like. We want to celebrate who's the first like, right? So as a coach, I'm going to teach that, but then I'm going to celebrate the first likes, okay?
Yeah.
When I see that, even though you may have initiated, I may say, hey, Joe, hey, way to get Matt's back on that. Great job, right? We're going to celebrate that. But there's another level to it that our players need to understand. You know, in social media, they talk about virality, okay? When things go viral. And when things go viral, what they're essentially saying is that it has made its way to everybody. It is permeated through the entire internet space. Now everybody's aware of it. Everybody's engaged on it. It has gone viral, okay? Our goal is that we want the positive acts of leadership in our team to go viral. So the reality is, yes, we're going to have fun and race to be the first like, but one like doesn't cause anything to go viral. It's when multiple likes and the likes begin to build is when you begin to see momentum. So for us, you're trying to hype the team up. I'm going to race to be the first like, but everybody else has to jump in because we want it to go viral, i.e. we want it to make its way through the entire team. You with me on this, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Now what happens and why this performs as such a great role as a follower, let's go back to you as the leader. You took that step of faith to lead the group in that moment. You saw the team hasn't been locked in, hasn't been focused, no energy, right? You stepped out, you tried to initiate it. All of a sudden, you speak up. There's a little bit of risk there. You don't know how it's going to be responded from your team. But then all of a sudden, your teammates have your back. One runs up and gets your back, right? They are that first like, but then you begin to see it just make its way through the team. And you sit back and you're like, wow, that was awesome. I spoke up and I could feel the team in the room change. Wow, that was awesome. Now, what you're doing is you're walking away from this moment of leadership with a feeling like, I want to do more of it because my team has my back. It's because they performed as a high-level follower in that moment. Now, when it's their turn to lead, hopefully we all do the same. And now we've empowered the entire room, every single one of us to be that leader that has confidence that when you step out, your team's going to have your back. And the fun thing about first like is kids get it.
Yeah.
They'll even like rate. They'll be like, oh, first like, hey, Matt, I got your back, first like. And someone will be like, hey, good first like there. You know, you'll hear things like that.
Thank you for checking out today's episode. Please take a moment to subscribe to this podcast, share it with your fellow coaches, and find us on social media for what's coming up next on the Jamodi podcast. It's just a matter of doing it.